Tim, what do you got for me?
So, there's this new music video making the rounds on the internets. Turn Down for What by DJ Snake and Lil
Solid.
Jon.
I was gonna sing the entire time.
I know, and we're gonna get a copyright strike because you're so good.
Yeah.
Oh, my mouth.
So this song's been out for a while. It's making its rounds in the clubs, and it is a trap song.
But this is an old song,
It's a what
isn't
song?
it? I thought I've heard this song for a long time.
It's been out for a while, but it's one of those things where songs. They come out, and then it's like, is it a hit? Do people like it? And then eventually they're like, oh, they do like it, and then they make the music video, and then it goes
and then
super
it blows
big.
up. Yeah.
That's where we're at right now. Like this is the.
I feel like that
point
happens with
video.
Miley a lot. Am I wrong about that one?
Well, Bangers came out. She put out like 1 million songs, and then she had like a new video every 2 weeks.
And like, because I didn't hear about like Wrecking Ball until the actual video came out.
Sure.
I was like,
you put a naked girl
cool.
on a
And then
Wrecking
it was
Ball,
like,
you hear about
Wrecking
that.
Ball, that's cool.
Yeah.
This I feel like is one of those videos when they were like, this song's good. We need to push it over the edge with a ridiculous video.
I think this is a little different because when you saw the Wrecking Ball video, that was the first time you heard Wrecking Ball. But for this, as soon as you see this video, you're like, oh, I've heard this.
Was it? I
before
feel like Bangers came out first.
BTW, link in the description below for Turn Down the What video.
What, Nick?
So Wrecking Ball was the video was the debut of that.
I mean, no, not the debut of the song, but that was the first time you heard it, right?
Yeah, that was the first time I heard it.
But whereas that's
because
different,
that video got big, and the way I discover everything in my entire life is that Tim Gettys emails me, aims me, texts me the link, and then walks over to my desk and goes, "Dude, you got to watch this video. It's amazing." And I'm like,
Social
watch
media.
it.
Yeah.
He social media is the hell out of me.
There you go.
But that's what you did with this video too. And then you did it, and everyone in the office was like, "That's amazing." And I'm like, the next day, I'm like, "Oh, I saw the link," and I'm like, "I'll click on it. It looks kind of cool," and it is insane.
It's one of those videos. I send a lot of videos to people with different expectations. I usually don't expect them to watch the whole thing because I'm like, I know how things work, and I know when people send me shit, I just skim through it. But with this, I'm like, people are gonna watch this whole thing. This is something.
Oh no, I watched
special.
it cover to cover, babe. It was good.
It's good.
It's really good.
Yeah. So to describe it for the people that haven't seen it, I don't want to give everything away.
You should watch it.
But
it's really good.
Some people getting turned up, which is what the kids do these days.
Is that so? Back it up for me for a sec, Tim. Pretend like I'm old.
Okay.
And I don't know because I mistook this one for a Lil Wayne video, and you're like, no, Nick,
It's not Lil Wayne.
Jon.
It's Lil Jon. So
What camp are those two?
bringing
at?
it back to there, Lil Jon. DJ Snake was a Chappelle show. He was back on the.
Was he part of the Chappelle show?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. DJ Snake.
Okay. You're questioning yourself?
Yeah,
on this one.
I
You're not
would
quite sure if
actually-
this is true or
I'll
not.
check. Keep
Blasphemous.
going.
Never really watched Chappelle show,
Right.
Because I didn't have cable and stuff
okay.
back then.
It was a genius
but
show.
You're probably 10 years old. So
yeah, exactly. But I'm
Colin,
pretty
did you
sure.
watch the Chappelle show?
yeah, I was obsessed with the
It was
Chappelle
so
show. Especially
good.
especially the second season.
Every time he did Rick James, like he did a couple of Rick James, he's like, Rick James, bitch. God, it was so good.
Yeah, Charlie Murphy was the best.
Which is amazing.
They
Also,
should've
last time
never
I was
given
like,
you
why is this
money.
guy playing a character that is Eddie Murphy's brother? And then I'm like, oh wait, he's legitimately that guy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was good.
But Lil Jon, he used to roll with the East Side Boys.
Okay, who are in the
back
East
in
Side
day.
Boys?
This is a
Break it down for me.
2003 era
Okay,
of
03.
popular music. You might know him from a song that goes to the windows, to the walls,
Right.
to the sweat drip down my balls.
Yeah,
I remember that song.
Lil Jon did a lot of saying yeah, what, and okay.
Yeah. What?
That is Lil Jon.
That's Lil Jon. Okay,
So
that's
he's
Lil
back.
Jon.
He's back. He
With a
recently
vengeance.
he keeps coming back. He's been coming back every couple of years. Last round he did shots. Which most
Shots.
Yes.
He really knows.
He was
He's
also
got
on-
his finger on the pulse.
He was also on Celebrity Apprentice.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
Was he really?
Yes, he was really good on it too. Very smart.
He's
That
probably,
is amazing.
I have a theory that all of these big hip hop artists are geniuses, and they realize that the fastest way to fame and fortune was just to go hip hop.
Yeah.
I was talking to my sister-in-law yesterday, right? And she was saying we were at a 80s cover band concert, which was amazing. And she's a vice principal up in Tahoe, and so
She's totally lame.
No, she's pretty awesome actually. But one of the things that she does is
Does
obviously
she ski into work?
she can like a cross country skiing. The Iditarod.
Does she have short hair?
No, she's
Yeah,
not.
Iditarod is not a cross country skiing thing.
I just like saying that word, Iditarod. She has a student who is an aspiring hip hop artist, and he's a younger kid, like I think he's like 14 or 15. But he has a quote unquote producer, and he is quote unquote blowing up. I don't know what a lot of these things mean because there's so many varying degrees of it. But the kid wants to do this for his life, and he's apparently having enough success at it that it warrants the school kind of coming in and going, hey, this is great, but make sure you go to college. It's an important part of your life. You should still do both if you can, but college should be the more important of the two, which is what our education system, sort of should be telling people. And so he was like, well, no one goes to college. And so she looked up all of the hip hop artists that have gone to college, and she was like surprised that the vast majority, not all of them graduated from college, but a lot of hip hop,
a lot of them dropped out.
A lot of them dropped out because it was
Kanye
dropped out. Lil Wayne went to college. It's crazy. And so I was just fascinated by that. I'm like, that you don't ever think that you can do both, but you can do both if you want. And college is an awesome time.
You could be Trill OG and be educated.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. Oh, that was my point with this though. I think that a lot of these guys, especially like guys like you got guys like Kanye, I think is really, really smart. I know he's really, really smart. You got guys like
the
Jay-Z,
guys that are around and were
Jay-Z,
around 10
Puff
years
Daddy,
ago.
Like, all
they're
these
really
guys
smart.
are really smart guys.
Yeah.
Who I think, much like Tyler Perry and much like anyone who's sort of able to look at a genre and go, how can I capitalize best off of this? And then they do it, and it's so cool to watch because you're like, these guys just know, they have their finger on the pulse. I feel like Lil Jon kind of understands that because every summer there's a hit. Yeah. He's got like I'm always when I go to the comic club with the young guys and I got to dance, he's always got one of those songs on there. Anyway,
he ain't turning down for no one.
No. So why did this video specifically catch your attention, Tim?
Well, it's catching everyone's attention because it's magic. It is
magic
in a 3-minute video. The song is very. I think there's 4 words in the entire thing that they say over and over.
Turn down the what?
It's turn down for what?
Turn down for
which
what?
It's a play on the idea of getting turned up.
Or turned out?
Turned up.
What's turned up?
TURNT.
Turned up.
Okay.
So
we can turn up to 11. That's it.
That's
in
it?
every aspect.
Just crank it up?
Yeah. In every
So it's
every
turned down? For what?
Turn down
like,
for what?
You
don't turn down.
We're not
we ain't turning down. No.
I thought it was a play on being turned out.
I don't even know what that means.
That's when a pimp...
when a bitch gets turned down.
What?
Sorry, for those of you listening to the podcast, Colin just lifted Portillo above his head.
He's getting some curls in.
Simba style.
Simba style. Being turned out is when a pimp makes one of his prostitutes
puts one of his hoes out on the street.
Go out on the street and work. He's turning her out. So that's a new term.
This is not that. This is not.
There's
that
also
at all.
something called the bottom bitch. That's an actual term.
Yes.
Which actually means the premier hooker.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned that term the other day. You wouldn't think that someone called the bottom bitch.
You think she should be called the top bitch?
She should be called the top bitch. Not that I should think anyone should be called anything along those lines, but if you're going to go with that nomenclature, you might as well.
If that's the way you want to call it, then
that's how you're going to do it. But I guess that was just a ploy to throw off the fuzz.
Yeah.
Not just mixing all sorts of terms here.
Yes,
I love
from
the
the
video.
70s nonetheless, which is good.
There you go. So I forget what your original question was on this one.
It wasn't. There was a music video.
Yeah, it's just talk about the video. Cool. So the crux of the video is there's this guy that gets infected with twerk. And he just starts starts dancing.
I got infected with twerk once in the late 90s, and it is
penicillin got rid of it for
to
you?
shake. Well, penicillin, a little cocktail.
Okay.
Got a little cocktail in you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good.
So it's infecting these people. Everyone just starts twerking, and everyone he sees just starts dancing with them. And
they're scared at first.
That's
part of
it. He punches through the ceiling every time.
Yeah, every time he twerks so hard
with his dick.
His phallus punches through the ceiling, and they keep going down levels down into a party, and everyone falls and they twerk together, and it's amazing. But what's crazy about it is every time there's 2 things that stick out to me. There's one, the first level he breaks into, the girl that's there is so terrified she calls the cops. And so it cuts to a split screen of a cop answering the phone.
And he thrusts the phone.
And the thrust is so hard, it literally Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark style melts his face away.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And then he thrusts again at her, and it blows her clothes off of her.
And my favorite thing is it blows her clothes off. She falls back. And then as soon as she gets up, she's wearing a different set of clothes.
Well, it blows her into like a clothesline, if I remember the video correctly.
Yeah.
Like it blows the clothes onto her as well as all.
God.
It's so well done. There's a lot of really cool photography happening in the music video. There's a last shot where it's sort of like they're partying, and it pans over to a guy who's sleeping, and then it immediately pans back and everyone's sleeping.
And they're all
really,
asleep,
really cool.
but still you just see the
But
wiener.
the twerk, the man's wang.
Penis.
Yeah.
Wang.
So
this is my friend Wang. No offense.
The greatest thing about the entire video is the VFX on the main protagonist's wiener.
Yeah.
And
I feel like it's not
some
even
of
VFX.
the supporting casts.
That's a legit puppet.
Breast.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yes.
them moving. It's just
Not what you think on that one though. If you
It's
haven't seen the
good.
video, it's not as alluring as you
a
think.
cop
on the press
gets
side.
involved.
That's amazing.
There's a whole family.
I think cop humor is some of the funniest out there.
It's one of those. So the cop, like, he gets involved and then he pulls out his gun. And there's something about him pulling out his
There's something
gun
about
that
him
just
just
makes
randomly,
it really funny.
randomly, haphazardly, casually, like pointing his gun at
While he
people
dances, yeah.
While he dances, that just gets me every time. I feel like cop humor. There's not enough cop humor out there. There was a
Super Troopers.
show.
Did you like Mall Cop?
Paul Blart, Small
fuck
Cop.
off. You're about to say you did. I just saw you start to say you did.
And there's just a really funny scene where he tries the panda roll and it doesn't really work that well. And he has to scurry over to the other side of the mall. It's really, really funny. I like everything, man. I like everything.
It's okay. You're not cynical.
I'm
There's something to
the
be said
opposite
about
of
that.
that. I was watching Psych, and I'm like actually
Psych's
legitimately
awesome.
sad.
Psych's a great show.
Because it's the third to last episode, and my wife's watching it with me, and she just has the way of ruining everything because she points out how obviously bad everything is that I watch. She's like, this is a bad
Psych's
show.
awesome,
And I'm
dude.
like,
Psych's been on forever too.
8 seasons.
Yep.
8 seasons.
I started watching in college.
Did you? I didn't know you liked Psych.
Yeah, I used to review Psych and Monk for IGN when I was a freelancer.
You're kidding me.
Monk's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Oh my god! Every year
Monk's
we go to-
fucking brilliant.
Monk was genius. Yeah, those two were like the shows that built USA Network basically, because Monk fed into Psych, and then Psych basically like has now built that network. Which
Don't
is
forget
crazy to
that
think.
USA's foundation though was Parker Lewis reruns.
Parker Lewis
Parker Lewis
can't lose,
can't
or
lose.
Parker
It was
Lewis?
both. It was both in the end.
That guy's not doing very much work now.
He doesn't need to. He's
doesn't
in syndication in Turkey.
What would you
Yeah,
guys do if you could do like only one thing to leave your mark on the world? What would it be?
Write a book.
Would it be a book? Greg, what would it be for you? You only do one more
Host
thing.
a show.
That's it.
Host a big show that people like on.
Just one, like
A
the
really
Tonight
big
Show.
show. I guess so. Yeah.
Like you do the Tonight Show for a
Sure.
year.
Well, a year. Jeez, really? I
Well,
gotta be
I mean,
like,
you
I gotta
can't
be
just
like
do it once.
I gotta
Someone's
be
like-
a Conan story. I thought like 10 years or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, 10 years is fine.
Okay.
You
You're
can't do
talking about
one. You
leaving
can't do
your
one
mark, so-
episode where it's like Fallon's sick. Well, let's call all the way down the line until we get to Miller.
Trucker, do you know anybody? And he's
is.
like,
It's
I
like,
know
we're-
one
we're
guy. who can
striking
do
out
it.
left and right.
I
We
can
can't
do
do
one
anything.
mediocre host.
You get the call and it's like you have to drive down. You miss the show. I don't know why I have that.
Drive down to New York.
Oh, that's right. They shoot up in New York now, not LA.
Just
Lenny shit up.
just
LA.
real quick. Writing a book is the easiest way to leave a mark on the world if your book is really good and you refuse to ever write another one.
So you want to?
People are obsessed with J.D. Salinger.
Yeah, you
right?
want to Salinger it?
I mean, Salinger wrote a few other things, but like Salinger is basically like, I'm not writing fucking shit.
He hit Catcher in the Rye. And he was like, I'm done.
Yeah, and he wrote like what Zoe and Franny, or whatever the fuck that book's
don't know.
called, and some short stories. But like,
I tried
but like
to read
Harper
Catcher in the
Lee
Rye.
is an even better example. She wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, and then was like, I'm not writing anything else. And
Why
it's like,
is that though?
Because I think with Harper Lee, it's because she knew she would never write something that good again. And with J.D. Salinger, I think he was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Are
There's a
Salinger's heirs getting ready to release like some?
yeah.
other-
Apparently Salinger wrote a bunch of stuff and just never released it.
There's a great documentary about him. Out
Yeah,
there.
did you
haven't
see it?
I haven't seen it yet. No, is it
I
good?
added it
Have
to
you
my
watched
Netflix
it?
queue.
It's awesome. It's about like all these people, like people's
His friends, right?
Yeah, like people. Well, like there's one guy in the documentary who tells story. I won't ruin it for you, but like tells stories about how he went and like in the 70s, like was obsessed with Catcher in the Rye, and like went and tracked down J.D. Salinger and like went to his house, and how he had like this interaction with him, like where Salinger was like driving by and got out of his car and all this crazy shit or whatever, and like no one had seen him, like people like kind of knew where he lived and kind of respected that like he wouldn't go there, but this guy like boldly went to J.D. Salinger's house. And
That's pretty ballsy.
And like, yeah, like that Catcher in the Rye is not even that good of a book in my opinion. Like I actually read that book and was disappointed because I was like, this book's not revolutionary at all. Like Kill a Mockingbird's a much better book. But
I don't like going to school. I don't like all these girls.
I got
Yeah.
too much money and I got too much privilege.
Yeah, I actually, it's one of those books. There's a great quote by Mark Twain. I think he said that a classic is a book that everyone ought to have read, but no one has. And that was one of the things that I see these books that I should have read. And I'm like, damn it, I'm going to read this book. And I pick up Catcher in the Rye. And I get like 90 pages into it. And I'm like,
that's like halfway through it. That book's so small.
I just couldn't finish. I can't finish it. I had to.
Did you get to the
I
scene with the
didn't like that.
prostitute?
Yeah. I couldn't. I mean, I got to that scene. That's great. I mean, I'm just like, what is the point of this?
There is no point to it. That's the fucking idea. There is no point to
Like,
it.
that's the
But
thing. I'm
What
like,
are
well, I'm gonna
the
stop.
what's the word on Lord of the Flies? I
Oh,
like
it's
that
a
one.
phenomenal
One
book.
thing's good.
Is that a good one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of
Sucks
course.
to your ass, Mar.
Sucks to your asthma. I got the conch.
Good movie adaptation of that too.
Lord of the Flies. That's
Castaway?
like classic. Did you guys ever read Heart of Darkness?
No, Lord of the Flies. What?
Did you have to read Heart of Darkness in school?
No.
No.
Conrad. Oh, it's so good. It's the movie Apocalypse. Book Apocalypse Now was loosely based off of.
Do you know who it screen adapted? Apocalypse Now? John Milius. You know who John Milius wrote? Red Dawn.
Yeah, bringing it around.
You talked about Red Dawn last week, and
7
I was a
degrees.
little tired last week, so I apologize because I wanted to tell you my Red Dawn story. And I don't know if we have time right now, Greg. Do we have what's the clock keeper say? Because we're running out of media.
We are 1:10 on the clock. We've been going for an hour and 10 minutes.
Okay.
70 minutes.
Okay, we got time. I'll go quickly into my Red Dawn story. So I love the original Red Dawn, the Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, Jennifer
it's one
Grey.
of the great movies of all time.
It was terrifying to me as a child because it was the height of the Cold War. Actually, it was probably the Cold War was spinning down by this end. I think you mentioned it was like a year after the Cold War.
It's like Rocky IV. It was like a symbol of the decline.
We're all gonna break there. It doesn't matter. But I was terrified about this movie. It used to come on TV all the time, and my brother loved it because he was like a huge Swayze fan, and I was like, by virtue of that, I have to be a huge Swayze fan too. But I hated watching this movie because it was terrifying to me.
Best Swayze movie, Roadhouse.
Point Break.
Roadhouse.
Red Dawn.
Point Break is the best Swayze movie.
It's the topic for another day.
So flash forward, the new movie comes out, right? And there was all that controversy because it was originally supposed to be China, and China was like, no, if you want to release this movie here, it's not going to be us. We're not going to be the bad guys. You're not going to paint us to the world as bad guys. So they changed every single thing in it to be North Korea. So that was ridiculous. But I flash forward, I get married. I make that decision with my life, which was interesting.
And the Chinese parachute in mid-ceremony.
No, I go to Thailand for my honeymoon. And we had walked and did all this crazy stuff and saw all these temples the first few days, and we're so tired. We were just like, you know what'd be really good right now is to go see a movie. I've never seen a movie in a foreign country before, and I'm always fascinated by other people's like movie going cultures. And largely it's all the same, you know, it's whatever, popcorn and stuff. But we go to this, and Thailand is known for having these like huge malls, these gigantic megaplexes where you can like buy a Ferrari or a Maserati. Like one level's just watches, one level's cars. It's insane. The top level's all movie theaters. And when I say movie theaters, I don't mean like 16 screens. I mean competing movie theaters in the same megaplex together. And so we went, and the only thing that was playing that we assumed was in English, and we checked and it was the new Red Dawn. Seeing that movie in another country was a fascinating experience because people were laughing at the screen because it was so stupid. Like the thought of North Korea invading the United States, like the thought of these two countries that had nothing to do with Thailand fighting each other, people were legitimately laughing. It was. I was embarrassed that my country made this movie.
I felt bad for the people that tried to do this movie too, because they did it a long time ago. The movie was filmed in like 2008 or something like that, and like it's a good idea when it's China. It makes sense, you know, like a kind of a future history kind of thing with China. Like that makes total sense, and it was really the Chinese investors in MGM that were like, you can't do this, you know, and they were like, well, we got to go change everything. So they changed everything, but now the story's stupid, and the fucking screenwriters are like, now we look fucking stupid. We didn't write it like this.
Yeah, that's a hard thing. That's the thing you can't ever. Everyone's always like, well, the writer. Why did the writer do that? But there's a great posting by Damon Lindelof, who's one of the writers of Lost, and he writes a lot of J.J. Abrams stuff, and he does a lot with. He wrote Prometheus. Or he came in to write Prometheus, but he was like the 6th writer on that. And everyone's like, why did you screw that movie up? He goes, I didn't screw the movie up. I just tried to keep it as much as possible coherent. Because after 6 other people go through it and all the studio execs come to it, he's like, the only thing I could do was triage. It was just like, get it from point A to point B. That's it. Like, start it and finish it in a way that kind of makes sense. And he's like, it's so shitty when people blame the writers for things because it's a collaborative process.
Right.
Like, much like making games. You can't blame the writer of a game for, you know, the demands that are placed upon him by the studio or the developer. Like, you know, if like EA or Activision's putting something out, you got to do what they say, you know. But I thought that was very fascinating. Anyway, long story short is, don't go see a movie about America propaganda in a foreign country. You'll feel silly. You'll just feel silly.
Red Dawn was my fantasy when I was a kid. So it's so funny that you were scared about it. It was like I used to like
get terrified.
I used to watch it and then go out, like take my gun, you know, my fake guns, and like,
well, that's because you knew you could survive. If that happened to me, my family, my fat ass, when I was a kid, would have been the first to go. They'd be like, put that Porky in the pen, and like play with him. Let's play with him. Dance, Porky.
Oh man, we used to fight the fake Russians in the woods all the time. Me and my friends.
Your pine cone grenades.
Yeah, we used to collect pine cones and put them in like a satchel and throw them like they were grenades.
I was terrified. I was like, I used to have nightmares of like, I would have been one of the guys that would have been like, no, I'll go into the cage. Like, you know, the big penitentiary.
You're
like
one of the
cages.
bitches.
Yeah,
I'll go into that. I'm not
an
gonna
internment camp.
Yeah, I'll be in the internment camp. I'm not going to be out in the wild trying to fight people. That's not my thing.
Someone still has to write a legit good decline or invasion of the United States movie. It's totally possible, or a show, which would be even better. Jericho was the closest they got to it, and like, but it could be much better than Jericho. You know, like someone's got to do it. It could happen. Like
who would it be? It has to be China though.
Yeah,
is there another country in the world that could even come close?
What I loved about Jericho was that it was internal. You know, like, and I think that was like what made it so cool. It's like Abraham Lincoln used to say, an invading country will never take the United States out. Japanese general before World War II was asked, or during World War II was asked, like, why didn't you invade the homeland, like, you know, the American homeland, instead of just, you know, bombing Hawaii and kind of trying to scare them? And he's like, because there'll be a gun barrel behind every blade of grass. That was his quote. You know, like basically saying like they'll fight us, like they're fucking crazy. You know? Like it's like an armed population like ours. Like I always had this fascinating thing in my mind. Not that I'm able to write a screenplay or anything like that, but like if California was invaded, right, by like a foreign country, and like what would that look like? Because you'd have the military involved, but then like maybe you'd have like the people in the middle of the state with all their rifles and their guns, like they're fighting the gangsters, you know, in LA fighting, you know, with like everyone's fighting, like everyone has guns. It's not like when you invade France.
I think
that's why, and I think that's a nugget for something cool.
There's something cool,
you know,
there.
like I don't know how
attack the block too.
You know, like
I feel like that's kind of part of the allure of the zombie films, right? Is that everyone has to stop whatever stupid, foolish thing they're doing and band together to fight this bigger force out there, right? And so, like, you talk about that. I immediately thought of, like, Dawn of the Dead, where, you know, Mekhi Phifer's character was kind of a gangster with his girl, and then you've got a nurse, and then you've got a cop, and they have to all get along together because there's this zombie horde kind of fighting them. And it's always cool to have that fish out of water, sort of like, take gangster, make him fight, you know, the Chinese army. Like
I wish people liked Orson Scott Card more, and I understand why people don't like him very much. I don't try to mix a person's politics up with their creative work, because I think Orson Scott Card's brilliant, frankly.
He's genius, yeah,
but he wrote that book Empire, which a lot of people didn't pay attention to, and Empire inspired Shadow Complex, the game, but was about a civil war in the United States between the Republicans and the Democrats, and that's another awesome
that's a great
idea,
concept.
like where things got so fucked up that the parties just actually started fighting each other. You know, like actually,
generals pick sides and then they just go.
And like, I think the plot of the story was like, it was something like the Democrats are in power, so they have access to all of the military's secrets, like all the military's secret gear, and so they actually have all the equipment, like all the good stuff. And the Republicans are the ones that like don't have anything. That's where like all the mechs and stuff come from in Shadow Complex. But like that's a cool idea too, is to just like make it political and don't like worry about the rest of the world, because no one in the rest of the world is going to invade us. Like, even if China invaded us, our military is much better trained and we have much better equipment than them.
What do you think we'll have mechs first?
We already have them. It's just a matter of, you know, like them being, you know, you've seen videos of these things, right? Like
yeah, they walk around.
I've seen
the demos.
Yeah, we have like all this crazy shit we just haven't used yet. And I think a lot of it's because we're afraid of what's going to happen.
I think the other thing is this, like I think what I forget who said it. You probably know, but like there's a rule of like escalation in military use, right? So the foot soldiers here, you've got the oceans. You know, every era of war was, you know, originally it was land, then it was the sea, and now it's air. And whoever can dominate the air basically is the dominant force, right? And we dominate the air, right? Don't we have the world's best air force?
Yeah, but the world's best everything.
We have drones. Like, we will never need. I don't think we'll ever need mechanized like giant units like that, because why? When you can fire a missile from a mile away and no one ever sees it coming, that's the ultimate like terrifying scare tactic, right? You don't need the
the ultimate scare tactic is a fucking robot.
Well, but I saw RoboCop the remake, right? And they have that first scene where these mechs are walking through. I think it was Tehran, and they're just, you know, they're lumbering and they're very, very scary. But at the same time, that's a huge financial commitment for the United States to have something that's just there that someone could walk up behind and shoot with an RPG, versus a drone that like you don't ever see. You don't ever see that damn thing. It's up there.
Yeah, it's so impersonal. Like, it's funny too, because a lot of military theory today says that like actually the Navy's becoming much more important,
really,
and that like mechanizing, obviously, and weaponizing space, which we've already done, even though we haven't told anyone about it.
Do we have a laser on the moon?
Like satellites?
We have lasers pointing at the moon. That's how we know how far the moon's getting from us. 2 inches a year.
Like bounce the laser off and hit people.
The astronauts, I think in Apollo like 15 or something, put a mirror on the moon, and then we bounce lasers off of it and measure the distance.
But can we like shoot people with them?
No, it's not that kind of laser.
There's other sharks with freaking laser beams in their
but like there's
heads.
been all these awesome, there's an awesome shot, I gotta find it, there's an awesome shot of an Air Force branded space shuttle. Like no one knows these things even exist. Like the military NASA's its own thing, but like the military sends people into space.
And NASA
no one knows what the fuck's going on up there. Like there are definitely like nuclear missiles and all sorts of shit in space.
There's got to be one of those just sci-fi style like satellites that has like 50 nuclear missiles just pointed at everything on it, right?
Oh, I'm sure. Like
we have that.
We can see like people's license plates with satellite photography. You know, like
Enhance.
Yeah. So like that. Yeah, I think that.
Which one do you want?
That might be it.
That's cool.
Yeah, like
that's
like
cool looking.
Damn, that's a cool looking shuttle too.
So like
from Boeing. Of course.
Why is it so badass? That's sick.
Everybody just Google Air Force Space Shuttle. There it is.
That's sick.
So like yeah, there's like I don't know, there's all that, but I agree like with the sense that like you don't introduce a weapon into a fight unless you know you can use it. We did that with the nuclear bomb. It was a big mistake.
Yeah,
you know?
we
Like
screwed that
up. It worked in the beginning, but we introduced a weapon into a fight. We introduced like a gun into a knife fight.
We escalated.
Right, exactly. And like so if you
like Batman
if
Begins.
we give robots, then they're gonna
they'll figure it out.
Robots.
All it takes, it's like when the Russians shut down the U-2, right? Like they had the U-2 and they can just figure it out. It's the same thing with drones. When you shoot a drone down, then you just have the fucking drone and you can reverse engineer it.
Want, yeah.
If you have one of these mechs and you put them into Afghanistan and they do shoot an RPG at it, because certainly if we've learned anything from video games, we'll have a weakness of this sort.
It'll have a big weak spot on its back.
Then they maybe can sell it to. They're not gonna be able to do anything with it because they're just not technologically advanced. They don't have any money, but they could sell it. The wreckage to China, or something like that. Who's already obsessed, by the way, with stealing our technology. They
and our IP and everything else.
I don't know. People, we should talk about this one day. Not now.
We'll do a whole different conversation.
China hacks our infrastructure, like our corporate infrastructure, and just steals shit from us.
They just caught somebody, and I shit you not, trying to steal and sell the formula for the Oreo white filling to China. I'm not making that up.
That's awesome.
That's sacrilege.
But like they'll steal.
They've come too far.
They'll steal the innards of the iPhone, or like military secrets, or secrets from Boeing, and all these very trusted American companies that only make American weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe they already stole our schematics for all these mechs. But people can go on YouTube and find all the shit the military's playing around with. And I don't even think. I think the military, like, they do that kind of like the corporate race thing where they're like, whoever gets there first wins.
We'll
and
buy.
like everyone like makes all this crazy
and
shit.
Boeing's like, what? And they got to make the Iron Man suit.
It's the same thing they did that with Apollo, which was awesome. That's why Apollo was so cool. It's like, we have all these contracts and like who's gonna make what we need first and who's gonna make it best. That's.
Well, Obama announced that he's making the Iron Man suit.
What?
Oh yeah, that happened. That was a joke.
I know it was a joke. Did you see that though, Rick?
The Between Two Ferns thing?
No.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Obama was like giving some speech.
He was giving a speech.
He was just like, I would like to announce that we are formally making an Iron Man suit. I'm just kidding. Maybe. And whatever. It was awesome.
He doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm out.
Yeah, well, when your approval rating's in the 30s and you don't have to run again,
yeah, you don't.
The
care.
fuck do you care?
Yeah.
And you're gonna lose the Senate and the House and the Senate in November and not be able to do anything at all. That's gonna be fun. Talking about politics. I can't fucking wait. Oh, it's gonna be a bloodbath.
Oh, the youth for the election.
Oh yeah,
not for the.
Oh yeah,
the Republican government that won't do anything afterwards.
No, the Republicans are gonna take everything.
Can you squeeze over there and see how much time we have left on the card?
Not much.
Probably not much.
We turned down the what though.
We did,
so that's helpful. We brought it around to talking about global nuclear war. How much we got?
I love
Tim?
how our conversations go.
25
minutes.
All right.
That was the beauty of the idea behind the show. Is that
I love
go
it.
in different places.
It just goes insane.
100%. Nobody was insulting.
We immediately went from.
It's okay, Chief. It's okay.
We immediately went from pilot suicide to roller coasters. That's how our brains work.
So Tim, is there more to talk about for Turn Down the What?
No, it's awesome.
Okay.
Everybody should watch that video.
Link is in the description.
It is amazing.
Portillo's head is screwing with the calendar.
The one last thing I do want to say about it is it's really cool that Lil Jon's not in that video. Like, none of the artists at all are in the video.
No, it's just the song and the visuals.
And
That's why it's awesome.
So many people have asked me, is this the official video? And it's like, yes, this is the official video. And I love that we're really hitting that point where like there is no difference between YouTube video and music video. They are the same thing.
This is that's true. But this one's on a higher level. This is like a couple $1 million or maybe $4 million they put into this bad boy. It's amazing, but it's a really well done video.